Sorry about that. My board fell down. I had to get a new pin and hang my board up. So now I'm going to continue what I thought. I'm going to talk about the animal characters. Okay. Let's talk about the animal characters. So who are the major and supporting and minor characters, obviously. All right. So who are the what? The major characters for the animals, obviously, right? And who are the minor characters? Who are the supporting characters? Supporting characters, obviously. And who are the minor ones? Minor characters. Right. There's not much animal characters, so right. So who are the major characters? The major characters for the animals are Ariak and Ferial. Well, no. Yeah, Ariak and Ferial you can say, obviously, right? Where supporting characters are Morale. Morale's the only supporting character for the animals, whereas all the other ones are minor. Like Bo's minor, Mass, Bass, right? Darius, Ephesus, these are all minor characters. They're a bit supporting, but they're more minor. The only supporting character is Morale, pretty much. And the major ones are Ariak and Ferial. They're the major characters, obviously. Ariak's the main antagonist, obviously, whereas Ferial is major. Ferial is major. And Ariak is supporting. Morale supporting. And the minor ones, Bo, Mass, Bass, they have a good chunk of scenes, but they're more minor characters. Bo, Mass, Bass, Darius, Ephesus, right? The crows, they're minor. And the eagles are also minor characters too. The eagles are on the human side. They're minor characters. These are the minor characters. So Bo, Mass, Bass, Darius, Ephesus, the crows, the eagles, they're more minor. Morale is a supporting character. And Ariak, Ferial are what? Are the major characters of the stories. This is how it works for the animals, obviously. You also have the wolves, obviously, right? You have the wolves and you have the bats, obviously, the bat army. They're minor characters, obviously. They're extras. So they're pretty much extras, you know what I'm saying? Right? You also have the demon. You also have the demon what? The demon children wolves, right? And the woman too. And the woman wolves. They're also minor characters too. Because there's woman wolves and children wolves too. That are they're demonic, obviously, right? They're all demonic. They're demonic. Even the children are demonic. Even the children wolves are cursed. That's how cursed the South is. So I hope you guys can see this well. Even the children wolves are cursed and demonic in Barak. And the woman wolves are cursed too as well. They're demonic wolves. And the woman wolves don't live as long as the what? The woman wolves don't live as long as what? As the men, obviously. You'll find out when you read the book. So they're cursed, obviously. Now I'm going to talk about the characters that I didn't mention in my other video. Okay? So you have Femia, obviously, right? Femia. You have Femia. You have Anne. You have Labia. You have Ariad, obviously. Right? You have Deuce. I don't want to spoil the story for it, but I'm going to mention these characters I didn't mention. You have Femia and Nely, right? You have Nely. Who else am I missing? You have Nely. You have Illudu. You have Ariak. You have Rockguy. Those are pretty much the characters that I missed out on. Obviously. I don't want to spoil the story for you, but I'm going to give you a little briefs. So who is Femia, obviously, right? These are all minor. These guys are all minor characters. They're all minor characters. So who is what? Who is Femia? Obviously, right? Right? She is the wife of Ariak. She's a very minor character. I won't spoil the story for you. She is the mother of what? For Fool, obviously. Right? She is evil, obviously, right? She is demonic. Right? That pretty much sums it up for Femia. So who is Femia? Femia, she is the wife of Ariel. She is the mother of a fool. She's evil and she's demonic and she's a very minor character. I won't spoil the story for you. You'll find out what I mean by that when you read the book. She's in the what? She's in the prologue of the book, obviously. So you only see Femia in the prologue. I'm not going to kill the story for you. And that's it. Who is Labia? Oh yeah, I'm missing someone else. You have Ferial and you have Zeal too, obviously, right? I forgot these two people. So who is what? Who is Anne? Right? She is the sister of Sarah. She is the what? The mother of Tacitonius. She's a minor character. I won't spoil the story for you. So she's a sister of Sarah. She is the mother of Tacitonius. Right? She is part of the royal bloodline, obviously. She's part of the royal family. Right? But she's not the heir, obviously. Not the heir. She is powerful, obviously, right? Politically, because she's a sister of what? She's a sister of Sarah, obviously, right? She is rich. Right? That's pretty much sums up who Anne is. So who is Anne? She is a sister of Sarah. She's the mother of Tacitonius. She is of the royal family, obviously, but she's not the heir. Obviously, I spelled heir wrong. She's not the heir. And she's powerful politically, and she's rich, obviously, because she lives in the castle with Sarah, and that's her sister. She obviously inherited wealth, and she's obviously powerful politically. She aids what? Her sister in political affairs, obviously, right? Affairs, and she's a minor character. You only see her in Young Tachys in the prologue. That's it. She's only in the prologue and Young Tachys. So you see her, she's in quite a few scenes, but you only see her in the prologue and Young Tachys, and that's it. I don't want to spoil the story. You'll find out what I mean by that when you read the book, obviously. Right? So hence why Last of Us is the best story told, because I have so much characters. I have so many characters in the book that I left out. That are what? That are not in the what? That I did not mention in my last video, obviously. Who is Ariak? He's also a minor character, right? He is what? The father of Ariel, right? He is the grandfather of what? Of Fool. He is powerful, obviously, right? I don't want to spoil the story for you. Right? He is what? He is royalty, obviously. He was what? He was what? The past king of the South before what? Before Ariel, obviously, right? And that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil the story for you, obviously. So if I give you too much detail, I'm going to end up spoiling the story. But that's all I'm going to say about Ariel. So who is Ariel? Ariel is the father of Ariel. He is the grandfather of a fool. He is powerful. He is royalty. He was a past king of the South before Ariel, and he hates Tachys, obviously, right? They all hate Tachys. They all have immense hatred for Tachys. You'll find out what I mean with that when you read the book, obviously. And that's why Xanus is the best story ever told. Yeah, man. I hope my board doesn't fall down again. Because I have plastic pins hung up. The board that I bought came with metal pins, but I don't feel like banging it with a hammer. So I just use plastic pins to hang up my board. Who is induced? A not going to mention too much about Deuce, right? He is what? The what? The first king, obviously, right? First king of Zanus, right? He is powerful. He is powerful, obviously, right? He is Tactius, great what? Great grandfather, obviously, from 10 generations. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil the story for you, obviously. In 10 generations, which is about 1,000 years. I don't want to spoil the story for you. It's 1,000 years ago, obviously. Hence why you have a lot of history with Zane. Hence why it's the best story ever told. He is Tactius' great grandfather from 10 generations, 1,000 years ago, obviously. And he is royalty, obviously, right? That's all I'm going to say, is I don't want to spoil the story for you. So who is Deuce? He is the first king of Zanus, pretty much. He is powerful. He is Tactius' great grandfather from 10 generations, 1,000 years ago. And he is royalty, obviously. He is also good, obviously, right? He is good. That's all I'm going to say, is I don't want to ruin the story for you. You'll find out that when you read the book. Careful here, I don't want my board falling out again. Yeah. Who is Nely? Nely, right? He's also a minor character. He's only in the prologue, obviously. Right? He is the father of Cornelius. Right? He is a blacksmith, obviously. The best trained blacksmith, obviously. Best trained blacksmith. Right? He is known as a noble, obviously. As the noble. You'll find what I mean by that when you read the book. He is known as the noble. You'll find what I mean by that when you read the prologue. Tactius is when they forged Tactius' sword. Well, you're looking at something top notch. I want to spoil the story for you. So that's who Nely is. He's the father of Cornelius. He is a blacksmith, the best blacksmith in Sapius, and he's known as a noble. Right? Right? I forget, who is Illudu? Right? Now, I don't remember much. I might be mistaken here. So who is Illudu? Illudu is what? Ephesus. He's Ephesus' great what? Great grandfather, obviously, right? From what? From 10 generations. 10 generations ago, which is 1,000 years. Hence why for Zanus, you can even... Zanus has such deep history that you can even make prequels for it. But I'm not going to make any prequels, because after Zanus, I'm done. Obviously, 1,000 years ago, obviously, right? Right? He is powerful, right? Right? He is royalty, obviously, right? He hates Tactius. You'll find what I mean with that when you read the book. They all hate Tactius. Obviously. A lot. That pretty much sounds like he's... Illudu is either Ephesus' father. No, he's Ephesus' great-grandfather from 10 generations ago. Obviously. Right? Right? So that pretty much sounds like Illudu. Illudu is Ephesus' great-grandfather from 10 generations ago, 1,000 years ago. He is powerful, he is royalty, and he hates Tactius a lot. Obviously. He is demonic too, obviously, right? Because the south is cursed. You'll find what I mean with that when you read the book, obviously. Right? Illudu cursed, obviously, right? Right? I'll say this. I'll start off with Rockguy first. Who is Rockguy? Right? He is don't remember. Is Ariak the father or Rockguy the father? Yeah. Rockguy is what? The father of Ariak. Right? He is Aratat's and for fools great what? Great grandfather, obviously, right? Right? He is royalty. He is powerful, obviously, right? These are minor characters. They're just mentioned in the book. He is powerful. He hates Tactius, obviously, right? Right? He's a great grandfather from 10 generations, obviously, which is 1,000 years. So every generation is 100 years old, obviously. It's 1,000 years. Not even 1,000 years. How's that possible? You'll find out when you read the book, obviously, right? Who is what? Who is Ariak? Ariak is the son of Rockguy. He's mentioned in the book, obviously. I might be wrong. It might be the other way around, but I'm pretty sure I'm right here. Who is Ariak? Right? Right? He is the son of Rockguy from 10 generations ago. I don't want to spoil the story for you. If I don't want to read the book. So these are all ancient people, obviously. He's the son of Rockguy from 10. Hence why the Walking with the Ancestors chapter is arguably my favorite one in Volume 3. And hence why I like Volume 3 the best. That's when you get the unexpected climax, the unexpected twist, obviously. He's the son of Rockguy from 10 generations ago. He is what? Aratat's and what? For fools great what? great what? Grandfather, obviously, right? Right, also, right? From 10 generations ago, right? He is royalty. He is powerful. Right? He hates Tactius. They all hate Tactius. They all have an immense hatred for Tactius, obviously. He is demonic. The South is cursed, obviously, right? If I want to move that when you read the book. The South is cursed. Don't forget that. The South is cursed. You have to remember this, world. The South is cursed. And that's why you're looking at the best story ever told of who Tactius is the big screen, obviously. Right? And hence why there's so many characters in my book. You're looking at an amazing story, man. Because I left out a few characters that I didn't mention in my other book. But because the reason why I didn't want to mention these characters, I didn't want to spoil the story for you, but I thought it'd be cool to mention these characters. Who is Ferial? He's a minor character also, obviously, right? Well, he's mentioned in the book, that's it. Who is Ferial? Ferial is the brother of Tactius I, obviously. Tactius I. Right? He is what? He is powerful, obviously, right? Right? He is what? Of the royal bloodline, of the royal family, obviously, right? He is Cassius's father. If I want to read with that when you read the book, he's Cassius's father, obviously. He's only mentioned in the book. He's a very minor. He's not in the book, but he's mentioned in the book. That's why I'm adding him, honestly. He's Cassius's father. You'll find out a little history about Ferial, obviously. So Ferial is the brother of Tactius I. He is powerful. He is of the royal family, obviously, but he's not the heir, obviously. He is Cassius' father, right? He is Tactius II's what? Uncle, obviously, right? He's Tactius II and Tacitonius' uncle. Right? Uncle, obviously. It makes him uncle, obviously. So that's who Ferial is. So Ferial is a brother of Tactius I. He is powerful. He is of the royal family. He is Cassius' father. He's Tactius II and Tacitonius' uncle. And he is the past what? He is the past general. Before Cassius, obviously. I won't spoil the story. You'll find out when you read the book. Before what? before Cassius. And hence why Zayas will be the last Overzayas will be the best story ever told. Because I have so much. Hence why you guys are shocked. Oh my god, like your book, Ivan's amazing. Yeah. My world building isn't as good as isn't as deep as Lord of the Rings, but I have a very deep world building in my for my book, obviously. And by the way, my map, I figured out. At the end of this video, I'll show you my map. I'm gonna get my brother's laptop. I'm gonna show you my map. I'm gonna show you the beautiful map that I designed for my world Zaynus, obviously. Last but not least, who is Zeal? Right? Zeal is what? The brother of Tachys II, obviously, right? Of Tachys the First, obviously. Right? He is what? Of the royal family, right? Right? He is powerful, obviously. Right? He is Tacitonius' father. He's only in what? He's Tacitonius' father, obviously. Again, he's only mentioned in the book. He's a minor character. He's Tacitonius' father and what? And Tactius and Cassius' uncle, obviously. And Cassius' uncle. So that's who Zeal is. Zeal is the brother of Tachys. He's also what? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. He is the what? He is the husband of what? Of Anne, obviously, right? Whereas Libya, I'm going to put in brackets here. Libya is what? Is the wife of Ferial. Because that's Tachys' mother, Cassius' mother. And Zeal is Tacitonius' father, and he is his father, and the husband of Anne, obviously. So Zeal is a brother of Tachys the First. He is of the royal family, but he's not the heir, obviously, because he's not from the direct line. He is powerful. He is Tacitonius' father, and Tachys and Cassius' uncle, obviously. And he is the husband of Anne. And Libya is the wife of Ferial, who is Cassius' mother and father, obviously. Libya is Cassius' mother, and Ferial is Cassius' father, and he's a past general. And Zeal is the father of Tacitonius, and the husband of Anne, and Anne is Tacitonius' mother, obviously. And he's and Zeal and Ferial are obviously what? Zeal is the uncle of Cassius and Tactius, obviously. And Ferial is the uncle of Cassius and Tacitonius, obviously, right? Because Tacitonius, right? Right? Cassius and Tactius are all cousins. They're all related to each other. Are all cousins. So they're all what? They're all related to each other, obviously. But only Tactius is from only Tactius is the heir, obviously. Because he comes from the direct line. See what I'm saying here? So Tacitonius and Cassius, obviously, right? They're of the royal family of the royal family. So they're right. So they what? They live in the castle, obviously. They what? Inherited wealth, but they're not the heirs. Okay, you see what I'm saying here? The only way they will be the heirs is if Tachys died, obviously. But Tachys, I don't want to spoil the story for you. The only way they can be heirs, obviously, is if Tachys dies, obviously. But in the story, they're not the heirs. They're from the royal family. They live in the castle with Tachys and Sarah and all stuff, and Lithius. They inherited wealth. They train with Tachys. They're rich people. People respect them, obviously, because they're from the royal family. obviously. But they're not what? They're not the direct heirs, obviously. Only Takis is direct heir because he comes from what? Takis the first, obviously. Just like Zeal and Ferial, they're rich. They inherited wealth, obviously, because they're Takis' brothers. But they're not the heirs because they're not from the direct line, obviously. They're part of the royal family, but they're not the heirs. It's very important that you understand that, obviously. Right? There's even kids that are jealous of Tacitonius. Like you and your cousin live in your you guys are spoiled. You Takis and you're spoiled because you live in your castle. While you know what I'm saying. You'll find out what I mean by that. The fight scene in young Takis. That's where I look at the best story ever told, man. You have a fight scene with Tactius and because Maramus and Cassius, they train Tacitonius and Cassius' kids, young Tactius. But they also train other kids, obviously, and those kids are jealous of Takis and Tacitonius. You have a huge fight scene. You know what I'm saying? You're looking at something top notch. Hence, we're looking at the best story ever told in Motion Picture Man. Right? 26 minutes. Hope you guys are enjoying this video as you can, because once I'm king, I'm piecing the fuck off of this, man. Right? I'm going to say this. You have the ancestors. I don't want to spoil the story for you, but you have the ancestors, obviously, in the story, obviously. You have the ancestors of the north and the ancestors of the south, obviously. I don't want to tell you who the ancestors are. You'll find out what I mean by that when you read the book. Of the south. Right? The ancestors of the south are cursed, obviously. And they're demonic. Whereas the ancestors of the north are holy. All I'm going to say, and they're holy, obviously. That's all I'm going to say, as I do not want to spoil the story for you. So you have in the book, when you read the book, you have the ancestors of the south, who are cursed and demonic, obviously. They're devils, obviously, right? And you have the ancestors of the north, who are holy. And that's all I'm going to say, is I don't want to spoil the story for you. I don't want to spoil the story for you. And that's why for Zane, you're looking at the best story ever told, obviously, right? You're looking at the best story ever told. You're looking at a story better than Lord of the Rings. If it's done right. You put a lot of money into Last of Us you're looking at a better story than Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, obviously. Whereas if you don't write a good script, you don't hire good Hollywood actors, and you put like 30 million, 100 million, the movie would flop and it would not be better than Lord of the Rings, obviously. So I'm going to keep saying this, right? The North is not cursed. I'm going to keep saying that. You have to remember this. The North is not cursed, whereas the South is cursed. Okay? And the Valley of the Blood is a bridge. In the book, I call it the Blood Valley, but you can either call it the Valley of the Blood or the Blood Valley. The humans call it the Blood Valley, right? The Blood Valley, right, is the bridge between the North and the South. Right, so the North is pretty much holy. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to kill the story for you. The North is not cursed; it's holy, and the South is cursed. It's not holy, obviously. That's all I'm going to say. Is I don't want to spoil the story for you. Right. Hence why you get some biblical symbolism with Tactius and all that stuff, with the ancestors and all that stuff. Right. So the Blood Valley is the bridge between the North and the South. Right. It's the bridge, obviously. Right. The bridge, obviously. Right. So it's the bridge between the North and the South. Once you pass the Blood Valley from the South, you're now in the North. Once you pass the Blood Valley from the North, you're now in the South. Obviously. Right? So the North is not cursed, it's holy, obviously. The Blood Valley is a bridge between the North and the South, and the South is cursed and not holy. The ancestors of the South, that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil the story for you. Are what? Are devils, obviously, right? Whereas the ancestors of the North are holy. Are holy. And that's why you look at the best story ever told, obviously. They're holy. They're also powerful, obviously, right? And these guys are powerful too. And that's why I like Volume 3 the best. That's where you get the unexpected plot twist of the story. So the North is not cursed, it's holy. The blood valley is a bridge between the north and the south, obviously. So once you pass the blood valley from the north, you're down to the south. Once you pass the blood valley from the south, you're down to the north, obviously. It's a bridge between the north and the south. The south is cursed, not holy. The ancestors of the south are devils, obviously. They're powerful. Again, Illudu, Ariak are part of the ancestors. And Deuce is part of the ancestors, obviously. Right? Whereas the ancestors of the north are holy and they're powerful. So they're both powerful. And what? They're both powerful. And that's all I'm going to say is I don't want to what? I don't want to spoil the story for you. I don't want to ruin the story for you. You know what I'm saying? And that's why Last of Us Angels adapt this bitch. You look at the best story told. Let's see. Right? I'll say this. Tactius, so Zendeus, right? Zendeus is what? He's obviously a great grandfather, obviously. I'll talk about the royal line here. He's a great grandfather. So 10 generations later. Sorry, I'll do this. Zendeus is a great grandfather, obviously. He's an ancestor, I'll say that. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil the story for you. He's an ancestor, obviously. Deuce is a great grandfather. 9 generations, right? It's what? Tactius the First, obviously. So he's Tactius the First's great grandfather from 9 generations. Obviously, the 10th generation is born as what? Tactius the Second, obviously. The second. So I hope you get the bloodline here, the royal bloodline. That way you're not confused, obviously. Right? So Zendeus is an ancestor. He's a great grandfather from 9 generations ago of Tactius the First. So Tactius the First was born 9 generations after Zendeus, obviously. Right? 9 generations. And then 10 generations later, Tactius the Second is born. And that's the royal bloodline, obviously. Right? Illudu is what? The great grandfather of Ephesus, obviously. Right? 30 minutes on my phone here.